Hi everyone, Dan here. Last summer, violent protests took place around the UK following the tragedy that took place in Southport. In the middle of those protests, a remarkable story emerged about how one mosque community in Liverpool had responded by inviting the protesters into the mosque to share food. A year since then, we decided to catch up with Imam Adam Kelwick to ask about why they had responded in that way, and then to ask Adam his advice and his tips about how to have those kind of difficult conversations. Something that many of us find very challenging, but which feels really important at this current time. Adam, so nice to meet you today. And could you tell us a little bit about what happened here last summer and why you responded the way that you did?
Yeah, so last summer, after the tragic stabbings in Southport and after the mosque was attacked there in Southport, the police were attacked. That was the first riot. Very shortly after, we saw a list being circulated of future protests. And the first on the list was the Abdullah Quilliam Mosque, where we're sat now here in Liverpool. So there was a lot of worry. Several people were sending me this flyer to my inbox saying, have you seen this? Do you know what's happening? What's going on? A lot of people were worried, and rightly so, because we'd just seen the Southport Mosque being trashed. We've seen brick walls being broken down, horrible clashes and violence with the police there. And so people didn't know what was going on. I remember I was driving with my son on our way to Bradford, and I said to my son, record this video. And I made a video which I posted on my social media. And in this video, because not only had I been told that there would be a protest, I was told there would be a counter-protest of people from the anti-racist coalition, and lots of different people from different segments of society were going to be coming together to do a counter-protest. And I just thought, this sounds like trouble. Do we really want to see this trouble outside our mosque? And so I did this video, and I said something along the lines of, anybody who comes to our mosque tomorrow, you will be treated as our guests, and we will prepare food for you, because this is what we stand for. We know how to be hospitable, and we know how to treat people like guests. So then that transpired, and what we did, we decided that the safety and security was the number one priority. And this is very, very important, because a lot of people have said what we did was brave, and it takes a lot of courage. But the safety and security in a sensitive time like this is the priority. So we did coordinate with the police. On the night of the protest itself, about 100 at their max turned up to protest against the mosque. There were around maybe 700 people on the counter-protest side. So there's a message within that in itself in terms of the numbers. Far many more people came out to counter-protest than they did to protest against the mosque. But that wasn't the point. Like I'd said the day before, everybody who came were our guests. And so I spoke with the head of the police operations, and I explained to her that it's really important for me and my community to go over and speak with these people. Bear in mind, this is based on a track record which the work which I've been involved in for many years has been dealing with people, members of far-right organizations, Islamophobes, people who've shouted at us, people who've given abuse towards us. And so we do have that experience, and it's always been a positive experience. And this is what I wanted to convince my community of, and the rest of society, that, there's a danger of looking at the other and putting them all into one box and considering them to all be nasty, horrible, evil people, which ironically is what you're accusing them of doing to you. So if that is a bad thing for them to do to you, assuming that they are, then why would you respond in a similar way? And I like to raise awareness of this idea that everybody has goodness inside them. Everybody has that goodness inside them. And it's the job of those who can recognize that to activate the goodness inside them. And I think what transpired on that night, eventually the police, they said, we don't think the situation is suitable. I went over again. We waited 3 hours. We waited 3 hours listening to the chants and the slogans from both sides until we were given the thumbs up. And then we went over, we took food over, we ate together, we listened to a lot of the concerns. Some of the people were screaming abuse in our faces as well. But eventually, everything calmed down. And the irony is, everybody on both sides, so imagine it's a lovely summer's day. You know, why do you want to even be here in the first place? What I discovered is, after I went over to the other side, is they wanted to go home, but they didn't want to be seen to be the first ones to leave, because then the other protesters have got the victory. And the same was on the other side. But shortly after we went over and we gave food, we listened to them, we spoke with them, we had these interactions. That was like the catalyst, if you like, for, it was almost as if, okay, the peace deal has been made and we can all go home now. And we invited the week after. I actually wanted to do it on the night itself, but the police didn't support us in that. I wanted to bring the protesters, the people who were protesting inside the mosque, into the building and allow them to share whatever concerns they had. But we did that a week later. Some of the protesters came along and the experience was very, very positive.
And what's happened since then? Have you had any kind of ongoing connection with people that you met on that day?
So a lot has happened since. For example, we were invited to a day trip in northern Wales, where we took a coach full of Muslim people, a coach full of people from North Liverpool. We went walking in the countryside, digital detox. We put our mobile phones away for the day. No Twitter, no Facebook, none of this toxicity what you see on social media, which, by the way, is where a lot of these narratives which are breaking and dividing people are coming from. And it was amazing. And you should have seen the faces on the people in this North Wales village when 2 coachloads of people came up, and it was like a bunch of Muslims. That's strange. And then a bunch of the scousest scousers you're ever going to see. And then, that's strange. And then they saw we were together. And it's like, what's going on here? Yeah, but we had a walk in the countryside, and we at the prayer time, what happened is Muslims were praying. Don't forget, tensions were very, very high back then. And people were really worried. We didn't know which direction things were going in. But when we prayed that prayer in the Welsh Hills, we felt very safe, because we knew that the Scousers, who just a week ago were at this Save Our Children protest, we knew that they would defend us if anybody wished us any harm. And that was really powerful. And then after that, we made circles together, and we discussed things, and we had some gratitude exercises, and everyone in the circle was, counting their blessings, if you like.
If you'd like to hear Adam's practical tips and suggestions for how to approach conversations and situations like this, watch part 2 of this interview, where we ask him that exact question.